thank you very much to be here. I'm very happy to have this discussion with you tonight. So maybe a few words about each of you. Maybe starting with Ludwine, because I have your name on my paper. No, nice to see you, Ludwine. We already know each other. A few words about you. So actually, you're data engineer at Leboncoin, right?
Yes, from tomorrow. I start tomorrow my new job.
Okay, congratulations.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, congrats. Okay, so and Sophie Bled, so you co-founder, of Gloomywood.
Yes, you said it.
Okay, nothing else to add about what you did?
It's a young video game studio, and we are.
Please use your microphone. It's working.
Hello?
Yes.
So Gloomywood is a very young studio created in 1 year ago, and we are focusing on our first video game. It's Too Dark, and we hope it will be a success. And it's very exciting. We are supposed to be at the end of production, but everything is not finished, but it would be amazing.
Okay, great. And what about Emily? You're running Women Who Code, right?
Yeah, I run Women Who Code, which is an organization here in Paris for women who already work in technology. And that's only in the evenings, though, when we have meetups. And then during the day, I teach French and English code courses, how to build websites and design websites. And I've been living in Paris for about 1.5 years, but as you can hear, I'm from the US.
Okay, thank you very much. Melanie, you're co-founder of Atelier 801. I will say it in French, maybe?
801, if you want.
Yes,
in English.
yes.
Yeah, we are a small indie game studio company, and we found the company over the success of our first video game, that is Transformice. It's a massively multiplayer browser game, and now we have 10 employees, and we just run the company and make more games.
Very impressive. Congratulations. So maybe to start the discussion, I will start with something inspired from the talk we just listened from Camille. Can I ask you, maybe to you, Emily, the moment when you were thinking that you found your way?
Yeah, I guess the most recent time that I've been thinking I'm lost and I need to find where I am and arrive at a place was when I was trying to move to France. I think I came here. Huh?
Of course.
Yeah, it's actually very hard, which I think as Americans we don't recognize all the time, to move to a different country. So I had no visa or rights to come here. I had to find a job and be sponsored. And I think as women, there are a lot less women that travel abroad internationally and live internationally than men. And I think as I've been researching online for other women going through the same thing, adjusting to life in a new country, it seems to be there are a lot of women that follow men. Like the man has a job, so goes to a new country, and the wife goes along with them. And so navigating that, and then also be in technology when you're looking for a job, and like Camille was saying, you feel like you're not good enough, and you're also looking for a job in a foreign country. It's a lot of factors at the same time, and you feel like you're not worthy of being there. But I would say this has been the greatest personal inner success that I've ever experienced, and it's just a visa in my passport. Like, it's nothing special, but getting a job in another country and living in a different culture and adjusting to those rules was worth the months-long struggle and perseverance of being able to build technology in a new place.
Sure, I perfectly understand the difference between countries and how you feel it. Maybe we also heard a little bit from the talk of Camille that it can be. She talked about the imposter syndrome, right? But we also have the default, maybe sometimes, or some women, not to rebel, to be proud of our success, to share them, and to brand a little bit ourselves. So maybe a question to you, Sophie-Ann. What is your position about it? And regarding yourself, how do you advocate for yourself?
Well,
Please,
I have to say I'm not good at this game, but I know I have to improve it.
Yeah.
And the point is sometimes you just have to force yourself, because if you don't advocate for yourself, the only person who will do it is your mother, and it's not enough.
Good point, fair point. Do you have concrete actions you're trying to do right now, or?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, okay.
Usually
Good point,
I stay
fair
at the
point.
office, either in my desk.
Very fair point. Maybe I would like to also have another point of view regarding this. Emily? Oh, sorry, Melanie, excuse me. Melanie,
I
excuse
knew
me.
that would come up.
Melanie?
What am I doing to promote myself?
Yes, please.
Well, I use Twitter a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure that counts. I'm not sure this works. Yeah?
Yeah, it is.
But yeah, it's very difficult for a woman to advocate for herself, because it's often taken as, bragging, and, self-insurance is not well seen in women, because, people think that they are braggy and stuff. So, but we must do it. I mean, this is really, really important for us to do it, because we need to inspire the youngest to show. We need really to force ourselves, like Sophie-Ann said, to advocate for women in tech, and to show the youngest that it is possible, and that they shouldn't stop themselves from going into this field.
I agree with you, and I also think that, and this I can apply this to myself, that we probably sometimes also need to force ourselves to connect with others, because it's also a part of branding. I mean, to meet people and say, yes, I'm doing this, blah blah blah, etc. And so it's something where I know that in each event I come, I force myself to speak at least 3 people, or I don't know. So sometimes, it's not it doesn't follow up or anything, but it's a good exercise, I think. And maybe a question to Ludwine. So you said to us that you're going to take a new job very soon, so tomorrow. So maybe a word about in your situation and regarding your experience. I know that you had a tough moment in your career, and I would like to know how you kept you kept your confidence and trust in yourself.
Yes. So the past year it has been very hard for me. I was in burnout mode. So I quit everything, my job, the city, Brest, and I come back to Paris. I was also very involved in an association, but it was not really good. So yes, I quit everything, and then I was thinking about what can I do? What can I do now, because I don't have anything else, and I worked so hard to have all of this, and now I have nothing. And I thought about when I was a child, and I thought about my dreams, and I had a dream, and one of my dreams is pretty common. It was about traveling across the world. So because I had nothing to lose, I decided to leave Paris and to travel in Asia. So I'm just coming back from Asia, where I have been 3 months. And because I wanted to add something very personal, I decided to meet tech communities in here. And especially I wanted to meet women in tech. I was curious about, what is being a developer in Malaysia, in Nepal? Do they have the same technology? Do they use the same technology? What kind of challenge do they have? What kind of startup do they create? And how many women are working in tech in here? So as you can imagine, it was very exciting. And it was awesome. I met inspiring women and men. And I don't know, I called this project Tech Beyond Borders because I wanted to learn about other people in tech. And
so maybe the tip in that situation, was difficult situation, was to really go deep in yourself and to find the resource in yourself.
I think when you are in a bad situation, when you have nothing to lose, you can take risk, and I did. I was really sad, and I decided just to create something positive with this travel, and to come back with,
with a lot of energy.
No, I just want to say, if you are in a bad situation in your life, it's not so bad, because you can create something. Sometimes, if you are in a bad situation, if you have nothing to lose, maybe this is at this time that you can make a big decision. For me, it was
the case.
Yes.
Yes. And I heard recently a very successful entrepreneur, a woman, and when she explained her story, she says that when she heard a lot of no, you should not do that, you should not create this company, this is a bad idea, this is etc., very negative opinions. So she said, okay, so many people told me it's a bad idea, let's just try and I will see. I mean, she was so
can be worse.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, all people
worse.
depressed me, so I won't be more depressed than I am. I already am. Sorry. So maybe Emily, you seem to have a lot of energy. Did you? Not when you came to France, maybe another situation, but maybe a moment where you felt it was a hard moment for you, and you as Ludwine said, what was your method at this moment to try to feel again your trust and energy in yourself?
Yeah. So, okay, I think of my past few years as being like a series of different struggles and then coming out on the other side. So before coming here to France, backstory, I did not study, I mean, even in school, didn't do any sort of master's in computer science, could not have told you what HTML stood for, like nothing. And I did my master's in the arts. I was an artist and studied art history and architecture. And my first job after getting my master's was at Kickstarter, which at the time was relatively known in the US, but we didn't operate anywhere outside the US. And we'd only had a handful of really successful projects. So it was mostly small-scale artists and musicians and filmmakers using the platform. So when you're working on something really inspiring like this, and you're seeing that a website is able to change people's lives like completely, like they're able to live their dreams or this project that they've had in mind for years, they do it thanks to just a website. So I thought it was really important to learn what this tool was that was enabling people to live out the things that they wanted to do that they wouldn't have been able to do without just like typing their stuff on a keyboard and making a Kickstarter project. So I taught myself how to code, which, like, in hindsight, just say the sentence, I taught myself how to code, is annoying because everyone says that once they learn, and it makes it sound really easy, like it wasn't a problem at all. But when you're coming from nothing, you're starting totally from zero. That's imposter syndrome to the max. I was 23 at the time and had just finished a master's in a field that I was really good at, and then went from being really good at something to being completely amateur level. Amateur in the English sense, not in the French sense, which means, like, beginner. And yeah, so just pushing through that and then having a support system. I know Camille was saying that we have a tendency to attribute our successes to luck, which I would have said was the case because I already worked at a startup. I already had access to a code base and developers who kind of showed me how to do this type thing, and then I switched to the engineering team 6 months later. So if I hadn't been in that position, I ask myself all the time, would I have been lucky enough to end up where I am now? But I think, yeah, it's not luck. It's just like being in the right place at the right time, and if you're not in the right place at the right time, like, you actually kind of are. You just find another key to a different door that ends up taking you to the same place. So, yeah, I would say, I don't know, like, finding your way is, you never even know that you're finding your way because you're always just doing what you're doing every day, but you're actually on a path, and you just have to look far ahead enough to see where that path might lead and then just stick to it.
Thank you. Another topic where we may, I don't know, I'm not sure, but we may have some, I don't know, some difficulties, which is negotiating. I think there are figures about the way women are not negotiating their salary, but apart from the pure salary question, I would like to maybe ask to you about that question. How, in your company, because you have a company, right?
Yeah.
So you have employees and you have of course, negotiation discussions about, I don't know. So what is the way you are dealing with that? Is it something difficult for you, or not at all? Or can you tell us about
for me
about
it's
this?
one of the best part of the job, because
Oh,
I like
interesting.
I like to find well, for me a good deal is a fair deal. So you have to understand, well, what the other wants and where you are ready to go. So it's not only with negotiating in salary, or it's also in a commercial negotiation. So for everything, the best way is first to know what you want, what you are willing to go so far with concession, what is your goal, and also listen the other party, what they want, what is the motivation, what is the key point, and after just you have to listen people and try to understand where they want to go. And after you see what could be the strategy to have the each parties happy.
Yeah.
This is the challenge, to make each parties happy. And sometimes you have to take the time and I think that's when you go to a breaking point in negotiation, you just to have, let's see that next week. Let's take the time. You just keep the door open. And after, you come back a week later, and sometimes you have just reconsider things, reconsider with another angle, and it fits.
So, but it's more negotiations for your company than for yourselves, right? I mean, do you think you will have a different?
It's the same. I think it's the same. I think that the basis of the negotiation for me is just to understand the point for each party, and this is valuable even in commercial, into interpersonal things. Mm-hmm. You have to understand what is the deal, and what that really matter. Why is this person is in front of you in your office saying this? What does she feel? What does she want, really? And sometimes what she wants is not what she's saying. So you have to go further the first sentence, and to take time.
And still, regarding the fact that you are managing people, what are your considerations to hire someone? Do you have an ideal candidate or team you want to build within your company regarding, I mean, your strengths and maybe the things that you're looking for within candidates and future employees?
Well, the first, of course, is the skill and the competence. But after my goal is to have an happy team that fit together. They can interact together. They will be happy to go, and happy to meet themselves in the morning, to have the coffee. It's just because, you are working 7 years a day.
Sometimes more.
So the best way to have a good work is to have a good team, and a happy team, which is not, oh no, not this job, I don't want to go. But people who are happy to get there and happy to exchange and to build something together. Because, well, we are making video game, but it's not the video game of one person. It's the video game, in fact, of the team. Mm-hmm. And this is what is really important for me.
So to gather everybody around a project and to have a common vision of this.
Yes.
Melanie, I don't know if you want to add a word about this as co-founder also of your company.
Yeah, I manage also 10 people, so I'm in a kind of same situation. I've had some management problems earlier last year, and it really took a toll on the company, and I really want to talk about it so people can avoid it in any way. I'm really bad at management.
Well,
really.
What does that mean? You're really bad. I mean, I know a lot of bad managers, and they are managers.
But,
Nobody complains about you, Melanie.
You're not talking to the right persons. I don't have a lot of empathy. I find it really hard to read other people's emotions. This is something really personal. So I wanted to tackle out of the way that the stereotype about women being more sensitive and more caring and stuff.
We agree.
Because this is not the case. Really, this is not. I don't always understand what someone is telling me when they are telling me something, because of course it's not always what they are saying. They don't always think what they are saying. You have to read beyond the lines, and I'm really bad at that. And it created a lot of tension in the company last year. And we didn't build any company culture. We just let people roam free, and it was very bad from a management perspective. People didn't feel they were included into the company. They felt outside of it. They didn't feel included, and so we are making things better. We are taking care of everyone. We are doing meetings one-to-one every other day, and little perks and stuff, and just talking a lot to people, so we don't have a bomb coming from nowhere that you didn't see, and because it can really harm you a lot.
Sure, and maybe it leads me to ask you about some, as you describe it, some vulnerabilities we can all have, and maybe what can you share with the audience, maybe Ludwine, about that question, about understanding yourself, your weaknesses, your vulnerabilities, and try, I don't know, to use it, or to ignore it. I don't know, but how do you deal with that?
Okay, so I started coding at 26, and like Emily, I didn't study computer science, so I had a lot of complex. I felt like imposter syndrome, as Camille told. And for me, I find help with women communities. So I joined Duchess France 4 years ago, and it helps me a lot because I had a safe space to share my experience with other women and to learn from those women. And because I wanted to talk at conferences about technical stuff, but because I was really scared, I decided to organize event with women. So in this way, I had to present and to give talk myself. So it was very motivated for me and challenging. And yeah, so for me, I think women community are very important, and you have a lot of women community in Paris, Women Who Code, Ladies of Code, Duchess France, and others. So if I have an advice, maybe join one of those communities. Sorry, maybe it can help.
Yes, that's right. We know that dedicated events, like for example, dedicated events for women, women feel more comfortable to come to this kind of events. So I think it's really important and useful to have specific events, because it seems that women are more engaged and willing to come, even if we can wish to have not this situation always, but just a transition one. Maybe I would like to conclude with something more, more light and lighter and more about your hobbies and yourself. Can someone tell me about what books you're reading? Ludwine again?
Yes, for me, it's Resonate from Nancy Duart. It's a book about how to make a nice speech, how to catch your audience. because I want to share my story, my trip in conferences. So I want to learn and make a nice speech. So this is my book.
Someone else? The microphone?
Sorry. For me, actually, well, I have a graphic novel. In fact, it's the bio of Olympe de Gouges, which is a great figure of the French Revolution.
Very interesting.
And, well, she had a bad hand, but she did lots of amazing things for women at this time. And, well, she stated the right of the woman.
Very interesting. Thank you very much. And maybe another personal question about the sites, the websites you like to visit, I don't know, every day, each morning. Emily?
Yeah, sure.
Don't say Google, please.
Google.com. The New York Times is like the best money I spend every month for a digital subscription. Like I don't need the thing in paper, but just being able to go to that every day keeps me away from the kind of clickbait headlines that we're so used to seeing, like 10 things that you must know about this horrible crisis. Like, so yeah, I think it's good to invest a little bit of money every month in some good journalism, keep you grounded. And then a list apart for anyone who doesn't read it is for people who are building things on the web. It has a tendency to go towards design. But there are great articles written all the time on building websites for everyone and not just for a certain type of person. Like you can imagine the photo of someone sitting in the grass with their laptop and they're smiling and they're like, you don't know how they have Wi-Fi, but like they're on the website and it's cool. Like you imagine that as your target user, but a list apart. A lot of their content focuses on making websites that make people feel things and is for someone who's not your target user normally, like someone who's had a really bad day, someone who just went through a really difficult life experience, and they end up on your site, and you have a chance to connect with them. Like the way that you design your page makes them feel something. And if you can write technology and write code and build in that same way where you feel something and the person on the other side feels something, I think that's what creative technology is, and I think that's the direction we should go. So I'd recommend reading both the New York Times and A List Apart.
Okay, thank you. And what about apps, mobile apps? Melanie?
As I said, I use Twitter a lot. So it's kind of always open on my phone. Also, my most life-saving app must be Google Maps because I get lost all the time. And so this really changed my life. Like really, to have a GPS in my pocket and I can go anywhere and not get lost, this was really a life changer. And I use a lot also an app called Day One. It's a journaling app that I enter every evening what has been going on in my day, and it keeps it synced between all my devices, and you can add photos, and so you can do researches like, when was that? At what time was this event? I can't remember. So you can search by tags or just some keywords, and so you can find your journal entries from that day, so you can remember what happened and have photos linked to it, and it's all private. So I like it to remember everything that I've done, to learn from it.
Thank you. And I have a personal question. It's not, you're not prepared to it, but it's really simple. No.
Oh my God.
No, but I'm sure you've seen this kind of movement of people waking up very, very early, like 5 o'clock in the morning, to start with, I don't know, meditation, and then running, and then breakfast, and then reading newspaper, and then starting to work. And well, it looks really amazing to me. I'm not really prepared to that, but I just would like to taste to you as great entrepreneurs, great tech leaders. What do you feel about this? Are you practicing this? Yes, you are.
A little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, no, I like waking up really early, going for a run. Like being active is really important when your job is sitting in front of a computer. That's the thing that I like least about development, is you're just sitting there all day. So like, wake up early, have some coffee, get started with your day. I don't know. It's really nice to just have some time with yourself before going on the internet, you know?
Yeah, I walk to my work, but this not going to happen. I mean, I'm not going to wake up at 5. This is not physically possible.
Ludwine?
No, I'm more 20 minutes person. I mean, I just need 20 minutes and then I go to work. So, yes, no.
Okay, and you?
Well, can we negotiate 5 to go to 7? So 7, no, it's just my breakfast time, listening to news and trying to organize all my day.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I just the time for me, because usually I end very late with meetings and things like that. So all in the morning, it's my time.
Yeah, so not the majority, but the movement is gaining, I mean, in France, so I'm really afraid. No,
But I'm doing yoga in the evening.
Yeah, great. I mean, yoga is great, but not at 5. That's my only
Not
point.
at 5.
Yeah, no.
Okay, thank you very much to all of you. A big round of applause, and I hope it was interesting.